At the edge of East Africa lies Lake Tanganyika, a massive, ancient body of water framed by distant blue mountains. Just inland, you'll find a world-renowned cultural heritage, kept alive by generations of Burundian drummers. The soil here is incredibly fertile, supporting a vast agricultural sector, driven by exports like coffee. Yet, this nation consistently ranks as one of the poorest in the world. How does a place with such natural and cultural abundance end up at the very bottom of the global economic index? This map of East Africa shows part of the problem. Burundi is completely landlocked, isolated from direct seaports, which makes international trade expensive. But geography alone doesn't explain the severity of the poverty. The real answer requires looking backward, into a century-long chain reaction of foreign intervention and conflict. To understand the economic statistics of today, we have to examine the deliberate historical fractures that tore a previously unified nation apart. Centuries ago, Burundi operated as an independent functioning society. It was ruled by a central monarch known as the Mwami. Under this state, the Hutu, Tutsi, and Twa communities lived peacefully together, sharing an economy based on farming and cattle raising. By the late 19th century, European powers began drawing rigid lines across the continent, pulling Burundi first under German and later Belgian control. As seen here, Belgian administrators engineered a unified society into separated categories. They distributed resources based on these classifications, giving some groups heavy advantages, pushing others into subservient roles. These policies turned ethnic identities into weapons, building immense tension. By extracting resources while simultaneously engineering a deep societal divide, the colonial administration ensured that future conflict was highly probable. When independence finally arrived in 1962, citizens expected rapid development and a return to self-governance. Instead, those deeply inherited societal divisions immediately triggered violent power struggles, sudden military coups, and endless cycles of political violence. The accumulated tension finally snapped in 1993, plunging the country into a devastating multi-year civil war. The immediate human cost was catastrophic. Millions of civilians were forced to flee their homes to escape the fighting. Entire families were pushed into temporary settlements. Basic living conditions rapidly deteriorated as hospitals, schools, and essential infrastructure were destroyed. Agricultural production stalled and industries shut down completely. For years, the daily focus shifted entirely from national growth to basic individual survival. The Civil War was the tragic direct result of those early colonial fractures. It effectively reset the nation's economic progress to zero, right as the global economy was accelerating. Today, the country is still grappling with the physical and economic scars of that era, relying heavily on rural agriculture and manual trade. When you look at rapidly growing economies like India's, you see the result of decades of stability, where heavy industry, IT, and digital infrastructure have been allowed to compound over time. Labels like the poorest country are strictly economic indices. They measure GDP, but they fail to measure a nation's character or its potential. Despite immense hurdles, active efforts are underway across Burundi right now to rebuild schools, stabilize healthcare networks, and forge new trade connections. The Burundian people are actively fighting to overcome a tragic inherited history that they did not ask for. To truly understand any nation, we have to look past the spreadsheets and examine the actual human stories of survival and rebuilding. Burundi is a story of incredible endurance, a culturally rich and physically beautiful nation working day by day to reclaim its unrealized potential.